unemployment and bogus invoices are among the key allegations outlined in the multi-million-dollar fraud case against former Education Minister Ruel Reid and former President of the Caribbean Maritime University, Professor Fritz Pinnock. The trial is set to begin hearing evidence on Thursday in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court. Robian Williams reports.
The Crown has outlined what it describes as a wide-ranging scheme to allegedly defraud the government of more than $25 million. Lead prosecutor Ashtel Steele told the court the alleged conspiracy took place between 2016 and 2019. Among the key allegations are that a domestic helper who worked at the Reid's family home was unknowingly placed on the Education Ministry's payroll. The prosecution alleged Ruel Reid, along with his wife Sharon and daughter Cheryl, arranged for the helper to be paid by the ministry. They reportedly helped her open a bank account and kept her ATM card to access the funds. Prosecutors say this was part of a larger operation involving Reid, Pinnock, and Jamaica Labour Party councillor Kim Brown-Lawrence. Brown-Lawrence is alleged to have conspired with others to divert public money from both the Education Ministry and the CMU. The Crown says it intends to show that some individuals were paid by the CMU for work they never performed and that false invoices and vouchers were generated to facilitate the payments. Professor Pinnock is accused of authorizing the fraudulent documents, while Brown-Lawrence is alleged to have received money she knew or should have known was obtained illegally. The Crown told the court that it intends to rely on banking records, text messages, and testimony to trace the flow of funds into accounts controlled by the accused. Prosecutors plan to call 92 witnesses during the trial. All 5 accused are facing several counts, including breaches of the Corruption Prevention Act, conspiracy to defraud, misconduct in public office, and breaches of the Proceeds of Crime Act. Robian Williams for Nationwide News.
Senior Superintendent of Police Wayne Cameron is a history-making disruptor who acts as if he, and not the police commissioner, is in ultimate charge of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. That's the picture painted in an affidavit filed in the Supreme Court by the police chief, Dr. Kevin Blake. The affidavit is in response to a similar filing by SSP Cameron, who's disputing the authority of Dr. Blake to order him to vacate his position as chairman of the Police Officers Association, the POA. Shalois Smikle has been reading the police commissioner's affidavit.
In the affidavit, Commissioner Blake sought to explain that problems emerged after a meeting with SSP Cameron on June 5, 2024, concerning his future in the JCF. He says SSP Cameron was set to receive a promotion to Assistant Commissioner ACP and assume command of the Border Security Branch. Commissioner Blake says even though SSP Cameron had 2 investigations hanging over his head, both of which were being handled by the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, he still saw reason to promote him to ACP. This promotion, he says, was a contingent on SSP Cameron working alongside ACP Marlon Nesbeth and fulfilling a set of tasks over a 10-month period. The police chief says despite the clear directive, SSP Cameron not only failed to fulfill his tasks, but objected to working with someone he said was beneath his rank. Instead, he proceeded on 50 days vacation leave. Immediately after those 50 days expired, Commissioner Blake says SSP Cameron then proceeded on 8 days sick leave without informing his commanding officer. Following that incident, Dr. Blake says SSP Cameron was informed he would be transferred to the Area 5 Police Headquarters to serve as administrative officer effective January 2025. He says SSP Cameron blatantly defied that directive, declaring he would not report to a junior. Dr. Blake says SSP Cameron then absented himself from duty for 16 days without lawful reason. The police chief says at a point in time, nobody in the JCF knew where SSP Cameron was. He says 2 letters were dispatched to SSP Cameron to query his whereabouts. In response, Cameron said he rejected the transfer to Area 5 and, quote, expected the decision to be revisited. End quote. Dr. Blake says based on his checks, it's the first time in the 157-year history of the JCF that a gazetted officer has refused to comply with an assignment issued by a police commissioner. With regards to his leadership of the POA, Commissioner Blake says SSP Cameron failed to hold annual general meetings as scheduled despite repeated requests. The last meeting was held in 2022. In the affidavit, Commissioner Blake says there are ongoing investigations into how funds taken monthly from the salaries of officers of the JCF and deposited into the POA's bank account have been managed. He says the investigations were prompted after SSP Cameron failed to relinquish control of the accounts to executive members of the POA. He says SSP Cameron is the only person with access to those POA bank accounts, which are currently under investigation. Nationwide News did contact Commissioner Blake. He refused the comment, saying he would not answer questions about a document that his legal team has not made public. Shaloy Smichael for Nationwide News.
Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett is forecasting a near 3% increase in tourism arrivals for 2025. Updating the nation on the performance of the industry in the House of Representatives, the minister says this represents an expected $4.6 billion in revenue. That's a 7% increase.
As the world then rediscovers travel, Jamaica stands ready, not just to welcome visitors, but to lead the region into a new era of sustained growth. Madam Speaker, Jamaica's performance mirrors this global resurgence of which I spoke earlier. We are projecting 4.3 million visitor arrivals for 2025, a 2.7% increase over 24, and earning $4.6 billion, representing 7.1% growth over the year.
For the upcoming winter tourist season, stopover arrivals are expected to increase by 6.9%. Cruise arrivals are also projected to see a 24% increase. This means gross earnings will rise by 8%, reaching $1.7 billion. Minister Bartlett says this puts Jamaica on track to achieve 5 million visitors and $5 billion in earnings within 5 years.
With this trajectory, Jamaica is firmly on course to achieve its 5 by 5 by 5 mission. If you recall, Madam Speaker, 5 million visitors earning $5 billion within the 5-year period which started in 2020, notwithstanding COVID, notwithstanding burial, and notwithstanding the powerful event of September 3, 2025. But that is now behind us in terms of our thinking, because in this new dispensation, it calls for a new and bold vision. And so, Madam Speaker, the new KPI for tourism will be 5 by 8 by 10. That is to achieve 5 million visitors earning $10 billion by 2030 of this year.
Edmund Bartlett, Minister of Tourism.
Meanwhile, the minister says a high-level task force has been established to advance the recently announced Local First Tourism Initiative.
Local First ensures that every new investment in tourism translates into jobs, contracts, and opportunities for Jamaica. To drive this process, Madam Speaker, the ministry has established a high-level task force on Local First. And this task force will be led by the Minister of State, the Honorable Tova Hamilton, and will bring together key tourism agencies. And I'll be inviting the opposition spokesperson on tourism to join this task force, because it is important that it is understood that Local First has no color, it has no creed, it has no class. Local First is for Jamaicans and must be felt and experienced by all Jamaicans.
That's Edmund Bartlett, the tourism minister. He was speaking in the House of Representatives this afternoon.
Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the country is experiencing a lower than expected number of dengue cases. Addressing the House of Representatives on Tuesday, the minister says this means the expected outbreak has either been delayed or is now considered low activity.
While the historical dengue season is between September to January of the following year, peaking in October around epidemiology week 41 to 43 for 2025, the seasonal line has not been exceeded as of October 11, 2025. Based on the epidemiological surveillance data for 25-26, dengue season is either delayed in its onset or the dengue season is a low activity season. We are actually below the normal threshold as it relates to dengue reporting. So we are actually doing better in a sense than how we would normally fear this time of year. And I just want to reassure the public of that. So it helps to appreciate the understanding of what is happening.
Dr. Christopher Tufton, Health and Wellness Minister. As of October 13 this year, dengue cases have been below the normal epidemic threshold. This trend has held since September 2024. 23 dengue cases were recorded in the month of September. This is well below the epidemic threshold of 257. Despite the low cases, the minister says the government is hiring additional vector control workers to combat any potential increase in cases.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.